Introduce ourselves. I'm Callum. I'm one of the co-founders of Trust.
I'm Shinla. I'm a designer and longtime Trust collaborator.
I'm Mira. I'm part of the project team of Changing Natures at the Natural History Museum, and I worked on the concept of the game together with Callum and Shinla.
And so thank you so much, Elizabeth, also for introducing Changing Natures and leading on to our talk so elegantly. It's been a really amazing collaboration with the Natural History Museums, Berlin and Paris, and it's been exciting for Trust also to work with real citizen science information, work with an open collection, and think about different ways of visualizing it. And so today we're gonna introduce briefly the game that we've built, and then we're gonna play it all together. And the idea is that we would like everyone to help us play it. So we'll explain how that works as we go on. When we first looked at the Changing Natures collection, what really stood out to us was these stories and this kind of personal lens for thinking about environmental change and thinking about the situatedness of these different perspectives on systemic changes and shifts. And so a lot of the stories are really rich and detailed, and people have poured a lot of themselves into the ways that they're telling stories. Some of them are quite weird, and that was surprising. You're going through this otherwise quite pragmatic looking collection, and you're finding quite surprising personal details about people's lives and the environments that they live in. And what we wanted to really foreground is these stories, and to try and lift them out of the pragmatic database to foreground the colorful ways they talk about their worlds. And we wanted to build a playful and interactive experience around these stories and to put them in the spotlight. And so the premise of Ecocene, I'm going to introduce it a couple times because we're working on making it understandable, and it'll be helpful to understand if it is understandable. Ecocene is a web game that invites you to explore Ecocene, a model of an alternative world populated by memories from the past. So initially, this simulation is imagined as a very powerful computer simulation that's empowering every living and non-living entity on Earth with a voice. But at some point in Ecocene's past, the wrong course was taken. It started being fed on imaginations and data that it had produced itself. This is called the AI feedback problem. And over time, the line between reality and deep dream got blurred. And so the player is sought to help Ecocene's machine elves synchronize these broken and messed up and shifted relations between objects and memories in the Ecocene simulation. And with a uniquely human perspective, the machine elf is hoping, perhaps naively, that it will finally be able to make sense of what it was that defined human life on Earth, and to especially decipher emotions as something that it's not able to understand natively. And so all of the items in the game are stemming from the Changing Natures collection, and these objects will be added to over time as the collection grows. And so the idea is that the game world can be a kind of living mirror of the Changing Natures collection. And I did already thank Lou, but the music we were listening to earlier and the composer we're working with is called Lou O'Neill. And also shout out to Bunkerheads 1998 for much help and support on language models. Am I forgetting anybody? I think we're on screen also. We worked on it a lot. So I'll share a bit about our process and a bit of the context because Trust work And like over the last 5 or so years, Trust has developed a practice experimenting and developing knowledge games, or using games as a way of producing or making sense of knowledge. Our kind of initial experiment with this was a live stream game we played in 2020 during the pandemic called Plotting. And this was with Joanna Pope and Steph Hall-Trieu. And in this game, we experimented with bringing different pieces of information and sorting them according to a 2x2 access all together, live on a stream like we are right now. We also worked with Mira actually initially on a project with HKV called The Shape of a Practice in the autumn of 2020. And we built an interactive environment for a concluding event for their research program on the Anthropocene curriculum. And we're very inspired by 2D and pixel-based game worlds. We've also experimented with spatialized archives, and this is a project called Hive Mind, which was with Will Freudenheim and Joanna Pope. And this is thinking about how might we spatialize archives or think about interactive ways of growing and developing archives. And a game that Trust produced and that Shenla here designed is called Half-Earth Socialism, and this created a simulation game around ways of simulating or experimenting with climate mitigation techniques. And so with this context, this is, the kind of practice that Trust is approaching the Changing Natures project with, thinking about how could we build a playful way of discovering these stories and encountering the objects in the collection, reflecting more generally on like environmental shifts that are happening. And so our initial proposal was to build a way of narrativizing the collection and the connections between the objects. And we kind of aimed to, following very much on from the general goals of Changing Natures, but think about how do personal stories reveal changes about environments? How can we render these personal and local or grassroots forms of knowledge about nature visible and palpable and experienceable? And so the initial idea, we were very inspired by choose your own adventure games. And these are games where they're often text-based. They're very popular in the 90s, and when computers couldn't generate lots of complicated graphics, but also they were originally books. So they're these kind of non-linear narratives where the player is making forking choices that take them to different places. And they're often in this imperative second person form of narration, like you wake up, you rub your eyes, pick up the object. So this was the kind of initial idea that we were thinking about, and wanting to use language models to generate imagery to fill in the gaps in the collection, because a lot of the entries might have, most of them have one image, some have a few images, but to think about how we might narrate these stories that don't actually have images attached to it and still be faithful to the context and the materiality of the things that are being contributed to Changing Natures. So our kind of overarching research question that we were thinking with this project is, can you build an interactive world around a citizen science collection that provides new insight into that collection, and ultimately serves as a way of perhaps allowing new audiences to engage with it and inviting new people to contribute it by discovering it first maybe through a game. We conducted quite a lot of research to try and understand the problem area, hosted some collaborative workshops with the Changing Natures teams. It's a very interesting project also because it spans Paris and Berlin. And so you already within the stakeholders of the project have different ideas about what the project is and different institutional goals, I guess, attached to it somehow. And so we wanted to find frameworks for surfacing these different ideas and discussing them and allowing people to participate as the game was taking shape. So we hosted some different fig jams. First kind of thinking about the connections between objects in the collection, and then perhaps more interestingly on collaborative world building, so thinking about what role language models can play, thinking about how we might design prompts for these language models to produce imagery that's interesting. And in this exercise that we ran, we ultimately found it's quite uncanny in an interesting way when the language model gets the materiality of the thing that it's rendering wrong. So image number 4 is a duck that has the texture of trash. And this is something that we played with later in the game. And then the final workshop we did was this Mad Lib style narrative generation where we ultimately honed down the premise of the game that we'll introduce shortly, but it was a kind of interesting experiment in can 10 plus people write a story together, or at least frame the beginning point for a story in a game. We also built some different ways of visualizing the connections in the collection to understand what the data was that we were dealing with, and did research into how we might access the collection using an API and then bring the objects into a game world. Thought about some different game ideas that ultimately hit the shop floor. A Katamari style hyper object game. We had so many ideas. So if anyone wants more Anthropocene games, let us know. Did lots of research into choose your own adventure games. We quite enjoyed the Zork 1 map. And then finally, we're quite interested also in this idea of a brain internet as like a premise of building an internet of things out of memories. And this kind of, I guess, is the kind of starting speculation for the world of Ecocene. The premise is that it's at a point where there is this networked collection of memories that somebody has indexed and is somehow searchable. And I'll pass on to Shenla.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Callum, for introducing the game. I think this whole project provided a quite interesting way to understand not only technologies and ways of working that we find interesting and that we practice at Trust, like collaborative world building and so on, but also a way to apply that against a context of citizen science objects that are made significant based on their human qualities. And a big part of our kind of focus in world building was to produce a context where these objects become important because of their human significance. And so we'll see when we enter Ecocene that the well-meant simulation of the world that Ecocene was meant to be has kind of not fulfilled its purpose, and that the game is essentially a narrativized way to train an AI or to train a model of sorts. So it needs players, it needs humans to enter the world and to provide the human significance of these objects and where they're found in order to ideally produce a better simulation. Well, that's the story anyway. A big part of this project is working with generative AI models. The text adventure game format is a kind of an interesting one for us to explore, because I think it's something that's emerged with AI models is that the relationship between text and image, and even between text and text, becomes quite different. Is that writing a prompt and sending it up into a cloud of 100 GPUs somewhere, you don't quite know what you're going to get back and what it's going to hook into in any given prompt. Like, there's definitely certain words that are somehow over-indexed in whatever model you're using, and then it will deeply influence whatever output you get. And this is also kind of part of our narrative, is that the Ecocene world has been trained on data that's not pure, so to speak, or it doesn't come from the real world. It comes from a feedback loop. And so you have a model that's self-training on itself and producing outcomes that to humans might seem quite bizarre. So for these stories, for the stories that are attached to the objects, we had a bit of fun, like kind of extracting and splitting the stories up into little cutscenes in the game, where we can really let the image models run wild based on these quite hilarious stories that people have uploaded about Furbies and fur coats and ski boots and stuff, and to like really use these new technologies in a way where we're quite open about how flawed they are. And in fact, that's what makes them interesting in a lot of ways, is that they reflect our world back to us, but in a way that's deeply imperfect. And as you can see, and as we'll see in the game, is that once you start to explore the world and find objects from the collection, then you can kind of see their original human inputted version from the Changing Natures database. Also in the game, once you collect enough objects, you can feed them into your machine elf's model of the world, and it will try and understand and try and play back to you what it thinks the world is like based on the decisions and the objects you've picked up. So yeah, I think it's a good time as any to start playing the game. Okay, if anyone needs to use the bathroom or get another beer, would be a good time to do that.
Hello? Hello. Okay. So we're going to start playing now. And we want feedback from the audience. So you'll see different options appear, and you can shout out what you want us to do. Maybe we'll like demo it first, and then once you feel comfortable, we invite participation.
Also, if the stream viewers would like to participate, they're more than welcome. We'll be reading what you have to say.
Hello? Is anybody there?
Hello?
Okay, so here you have one option, so it's easy. What option do you want us to take? Are you a human? A living body of meat and bones? I haven't connected with a body in a long time.
Now, what option do you guys want to take?
Read them out.
Or should I read them out first? Yeah. Who are you? What's going on? I've been here before.
Okay, wait, you don't have a choice here. We're going to choose for you.
So what's going on?
Welcome to Ecocene, a powerful computer simulation empowering every life form, every element, every object with a voice. A democracy of things guided by machine elves, stewards of this digital odyssey. Ecocene. Ignite a symphony of voices. Shape a future of cooperation. Your choice, their voice, one world. Ecocene. Your choice, their voice, one world. Eco, your choice, their voice, one world. Malfunction.
Is everything okay?
I'm afraid not. Ecocene, the humans' attempt to simulate their world has unfortunately not lined up to expectations. The intent was noble, but the line between reality and imagination in Ecocene has blurred. I need a human like you to help synchronize the parts of our world that have become unmoored from reality. Hopefully, together, we can correct Ecocene's course before it's too late.
Who are you?
I was created to help this world become a more accurate simulation. I'm officially a machine elf, but I prefer to go by syntrophy. To enter Ecocene, humans must detach themselves from their bodies. It would be easier to explain if you had some goggles on.
Put on the goggles.
Come on, audience. That's better. The goggles give you a window into Ecocene.
And what now?
The goggles aren't perfect, so I'll still describe the world to you with text. I'll need your help with the memory fragments left behind by humans. Only another human can help me make sense of them in order to restore Ecocene. Should I keep going? You find yourself surrounded by a horizon that stretches infinitely. To the north is a liquid continuum. To the west are perpetual harvest fields. To the south is a tidal interface. To the east, sonic savannas.
Which way should we go, guys? Go east.
Go east.
You step onto the vast plains, immediately enveloped in an auditory tapestry. The gentle breeze carries a myriad of modulated calls, some morphing as they approach, others receding into whispers. To the east are prairies. To the west, you sense Euclidean plains. In the midst of the grassland, you spot a glinting object. As you traverse the plains with its shifting soundscape, a lone frog, a rarity in these parts, sits ahead, absorbing the sun's warmth. Frog?
Okay, you're overridden. Approach the frog.
People are saying frog. As you draw nearer, you see the frog is pulsating with colors in synchrony with the surrounding sounds. Should we touch it? Touch the frog. The people are saying touch the frog.
Touch the frog. I detect a new memory fragment. Frog. Can you help me decipher its human significance?
Audience, synchronize. Okay. I saw frogs a lot as a child. There were frogs to be found and caught at every dredge hole. It was nice to watch them eat dragonflies. Today, frogs are only found in man-made ponds. I forgot that storks eat frogs, because I hardly see both frogs and storks anymore.
The surface feels slightly moist, and a subtle warmth radiates from within. The pulsating colors respond to your touch, creating ripples of mesmerizing patterns. Help me to resynchronize the simulation. Tell me what makes this memory fragment special. What do you think, audience? Frogs, environmental pollution, play, collecting, lakes, plastic, storks, plastic, wistfulness. There's no... Tell me in a few words, how does frog and plastic make you feel? Can we have a volunteer?
Just shout out.
Shout out. How
Shout
does it
words.
make you feel?
So sad.
So sad. And artificial. Green. Oh, we also had plastic online, so there's a lot of alignment. I think that's good.
I think that's good.
How interesting. I'll add it to my model of Ecocene.
Frog has been added to your inventory.
You step onto the vast plains, immediately enveloped in an auditory tapestry. The gentle breeze carries a myriad of modulated calls, some morphing as they approach, others receding into whispers. To the east are prairies. To the west, you sense Euclidean plains. In the midst of the grassland, you spot a glinted object.
Object? Okay, object.
A necklace glimmers under the sun. Its smooth white beads and absent carved roses look aged yet well kept. Sound waves seem to caress its delicate curves, as if the necklace itself is part of the surrounding harmonies.
Put on the necklace.
I detect a new memory fragment. Necklace. Can you help decipher its human significance?
Synchronize. When I was 13, I received this ivory necklace as a gift from my aunt for my confirmation. The name Erbach was spoken with reverence, and I learned that the most famous ivory carvers resided in this small Hessian town. Although it seemed strange to me that a German town was famous for jewelry made from a material that came from faraway Africa, I did not question the gift. Ivory jewelry was considered valuable in our family, and this tradition was passed on. For years, I wore this necklace with pleasure and pride. As a young woman, the style seemed out of date, and I shortened it without the carved roses. I am still fascinated by ivory carving to this day. However, I increasingly question the conditions under which this precious material came to us. Due to big game hunting, tourism, and illegal poaching, elephant populations are endangered worldwide. The trade in ivory is now prohibited. In my childhood, there was no critical dialogue about this, even if the hunting of elephants just for fun, or just because of the horns in existence threatening, went too fast. Today, I would never wear the chain. With it, I would visibly show something to the outside world that in my view is no longer justifiable today.
As you touch the necklace, a surge of ethereal energy tingles through your body. Help me to resynchronize the simulation. Tell me what makes this memory fragment special. Ivory. Cultural and art history, species conservation, species extinction. Carving, celebrating, decorating, collecting. Thoughtfulness, shame.
Getting a lot of shame from the audience. Anyone else? I think that's
I
good.
think that's it, yeah. Tell me in a few words, how does necklace and thoughtfulness make you feel?
And shame.
Oh, sorry, shame. I'm sure we have a couple in the audience who know how this feels. What? Anxious. Anything else?
Anxious magic.
How interesting. I'll add it to my model of Ecocene.
Ivory necklace has been added to your inventory. Yes.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what we've collected so far. We have the necklace with the thoughtfulness and the shame. These are all metadata uploaded by our very own citizen scientists. We also have the goggles that we put on. Put them on your head to construct images of Ecocene. That's nice. And we have a frog. A plastic frog, even.
So I just wanted to say these are the original images from the collection that you see in your inventory.
So now we have to explore. You step onto the vast plains. To the east are prairies. To the west, you sense Euclidean plains. East or west? You find yourself surrounded by a horizon that stretches infinitely. To the north is a liquid continuum. To the west are perpetual harvest fields. To the south is a tidal interface. To the east, sonic savanna. So we've actually been here
It's
before.
a good moment to show the map, I think.
Yeah, look, you've only explored sonic savannas and Euclidean plains here. You have 18 other locations. So I'll give you a minute to look at this and then... So which direction do you want to go? North.
Good choice.
As you transverse this liquid expanse, each ripple and wave carries whispers of the past. The sediment beneath swirls, unveiling fragments of memories that briefly surface before melding back into the depths. To the south, Euclidean plains. Amidst the fluid vastness, ancient relics from forgotten eras sporadically break the water's surface. A luminescent gleam catches your eye. A shard, seemingly ordinary yet pulsating with a latent energy, beckons you closer. Approach the glowing shard, follow the stream west, or go south. You want the shard, or... Yeah. As you move closer, the waters part, revealing a bone-like fragment, its jagged edge glinting with an almost magical aura. The whispers in the water grow louder, recounting tales of fierce dragons that once soared the skies. You should all shout, "Pick up the shard!" Okay, if you say so. I detect a new memory fragment, bone shard. Can you help decipher its human significance?
It is the tooth or claw of an unknown animal. I found this tooth in the riverbed of the Rhine between boulders and the water. The Rhine had very little water at that time because of the drought. This was the only way to pull the tooth out of the water at this place. Since the Rhineland is known in relevant legends for its dragons, and I know of no living animal species in Germany that has such large teeth, it can only be a dragon tooth.
A surge of ancient energy courses through your fingers, transporting you momentarily to a time when mythical beasts roamed and legends were born. Help me to resynchronize the simulation. Tell me what makes this memory fragment special. Collecting, bones, or fascination. So we have an online choice. We have bones. I think we're gonna go with bones. Tell me in a few words, how does bone shard and bones make you feel? Fascination. Aware of death, we also got online. We also got ancient online. Anything else? Can I spell it right? Okay, submit. How interesting. I'll add it to my model of Ecocene. It looks like you've found enough memory fragments for me to make a prediction about the world in order to improve Ecocene.
Everyone yell, predict. Predict! I dream of plastic, so sad, artificial, green, poisonous. Bones, fascination, aware of death, ancient. Thoughtfulness, shame, anxious magic.
The outside world as described tugs at my simulated heartstrings with this man-made space. Imagining such surfaces, plastic, so smooth, yet so blandly lacking in organic texture. This sterile landscape gapes towards me, pierced by skeletal gossamer structures dubbed bones. These ethereal vaults hum wistfully as portents devoid of scintillating life. Each structure exudes a certain morose ambience. Shame, perhaps indicative, an incessant melancholy, a tress for something far more thoughtfulnesses, evidences the cloying cognitive presence that haunts the plain, unfleshed expanses. How odd to perceive sentience emboldened by vacuity. Does that sound right? Or wrong? You think is wrong.
Okay, it's not totally wrong, but
We have a wrong online also.
okay. And now we're back in the river. As you traverse the liquid expanse, each ripple and wave carries whispers of the past. To the south, Euclidean plains. Follow the stream west or go south? West. You're soaked up to the waist in soluble history. Deep in the water, you sense memories and reflections. The liquid continuum flows seemingly in both directions, west and east. To the south are axis tilting trees. At the banks of the liquid continuum, you close your eyes, lend your ear to the gentle cadence of the water. Every lapping wave resonates. Approach the water, go south, follow the stream east, or follow the stream west. Well, the people have spoken.
Yeah.
Sorry for my intervention.
You're at the mouth of a liquid continuum. Above you is a human-made water body. Ascend or follow the stream east.
Ascend.
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 You wade into waters that ripple and change hue. Past moments, long forgotten memories, resurface with clarity. Deep in the water, you sense a liquid continuum. Southwards is a door. To the west, a human cluster. Submerge yourself in the waters, open the door, or go west. You were just in the water.
We were just in the water. Let's open the door.
The door's good. You tread softly on a familiar carpet, but the room feels alive in an unexpected way. Chairs host nimble beings that dart between seat gaps, while bookshelves are now intricate playgrounds. Creatures camouflage amidst patterned wallpapers. On a bookshelf, you spot a dazzling and strangely shaped vessel. You see a small fuzzy object in the distance. Go to the bookshelf, get closer to the fuzzy object, leave through the front door, or leave through the back door. Fuzzy object.
We're hearing fuzzy object.
You approach the fuzzy objects. Its lurid colored hair becomes suddenly overwhelming. It starts to wobble and vibrate. Pick it up. I detect a new memory fragment. Furby. Can you help decipher its human significance? Synchronize.
The Furby can talk, but when he does so in a language that a human is not able to understand. He can theoretically communicate with other Furbies. The Furby has legs, but he cannot stand or use them to walk. He has hair, but the hair is made out of processed plastic, and so is his beak. He resembles a sum of different animals, but his composition is so ambiguous that it is virtually not possible to point out which ones. In a way, all of his features are a Frankenstein of elements that can be found in natural living beings, but the sum of his parts resemble none in particular. He's an abstraction of endless layers of portrayal, and that makes him either the best or the worst representation of a world that is quickly ceasing to exist.
You notice two eyes and a plastic beak staring back at you. Help me to resynchronize the simulation. Tell me what makes this memory fragment special. Batteries, petroleum, nostalgia, electronics, representation, electronic scrap, mass production, confusion, chips, metal.
Also, I have a strong feeling that there's someone in the room who has a feeling about this, maybe.
Really? Well, I'm excited about that. What did you say, audience? Representation. Such a fun choice. Tell me, in a few words, how does Furby and representation make you feel? Deeply melancholic. Happy we have online. So that's contradictory, but yeah. Engaged.
Also, I think you can feel both things at the same time.
It's true, we contain multitudes. That all? Okay. How interesting. I'll add it to my model of Ecocene. Online, we're hearing we need more Furby representation in video games. It sounds like a Mattel product or something. It sounds like IP. Oh. Mm-hmm.
All of the objects are. But the objects stay with the contributors. So we only have a digital representation of it.
So every 3 objects, you get a prediction. You have 2 more objects to find, and then, yeah, we'll finish after the next prediction. So where do you want to go now? To the bookshelf? Through the front door? Through the back door? Okay. You wade into waters that ripple and change hue. Past moments, long forgotten memories resurface with clarity. Deep in the water, you sense a liquid continuum. Southwards is a door. To the west, a human cluster. Go west. I almost sang. The human cluster resonates with the coolness of deep time. Eastward is a human-made water body. To the south is a glowing path. A gentle disorientation envelops you. There's a spectral luminescence ahead, punctuating the otherwise dim surroundings. Shapes and shadows merge, creating an enigmatic mosaic. Move towards the spectral luminescence. Go east, walk south. Spectral luminescence. I thought you'd never say those words. An oddly shaped glass vessel stands, both delicate and defined, like a frozen droplet caught mid-fall. Its transparent surface gleams with a clarity that both magnifies and distorts the world beyond. Pick up the vessel. I detect a new memory fragment. Glass vessel. Can you help decipher its human significance? Synchronize.
Okay, I can read that. In all GDR pubs, beer was drunk from super fast glasses since the 80s. The Superfast glass first appeared on the market in the early 70s under the name Severit for chemical solidified and symbol for silicate. These glasses were developed to ensure long-term glass supply in pubs and restaurants in times of raw material shortage. The Superfast glasses are considered, I missed that. In 1983, the design received the gold medal. In 1991, as consumerism rather than sustainability came to the fore, I'm too slow. Okay, so today these glasses can only be bought second-hand or filled with beer in many Eastern pubs still.
A delicate glassware carries a weightless presence, brimming with memories of past celebrations and shared stories. Help me to resynchronize the simulation. Tell me what makes this memory fragment special. Compression. Home. Glass, fixed, sand. Shortage of raw materials, coziness, glass, sustainability celebrate. Shortage of raw materials. Tell me in a few words, how does glass vessel and shortage of raw materials make you feel? Greedy. Coziness, we have online. Empty. Someone says we got time, which I'm not, yeah. I think that's good. How interesting. I'll add it to my model of Ecocene. GDR Superfast Glass 0.25 liters has been added to your inventory. The human cluster resonates with the coolness of deep time. Eastwards is a human-made water body. To the south is a glowing path. Go east or walk south. What did you say? You have to talk louder. Okay, you get consensus and Shallah. Okay, we went south. The dirt underneath seems to glow with puzzling intensity. Welcome to the rural interface. To the east, a biospatial haven. Amidst the symphony of intertwining energies, you spot a large, intricate structure suspended from the branch above. Approach the structure, go towards the human cluster, or go east. Approach the structure. As you draw closer to the structure, you discern a hidden symphony within. The form settles as a wasp's net, accentuated by the myriad patterns and textures that seem to be painted on its surface. Rest your hand on the nest cautiously. I detect a new memory fragment. Wasp nest. Can you help decipher its human significance? Synchronize.
An abandoned wasp nest from a shed in my parents' house shows the skill of the common wasp. how they make the finest paper from wood particles with patterns that looks as incredible as painted. Perceived today as an uninvited guest at the coffee table, causing panic for fear of allergic reactions. I remember several insect bites. I became aware that wasps are protected species only in the last few years. Master builders, artists, beneficial insects in the ecosystem.
As you touch the nest, a tingling warmth courses through your fingertips. Its delicate structure hums with the interconnected narratives of countless lives, inviting you to delve into the intricate tapestry it holds within its fragile form. Help me to resynchronize the simulation. Tell me what makes this memory fragment special. Nature conservation, admiration, wistfulness, build, paper, wood, paint, killing childhood. Childhood. Tell me in a few words, how does wasp nest and childhood make you feel? Endangered. Pain we have online. Scary. Melancholic.
Admiration was there.
How interesting. I'll add it to my model of Ecocene. Okay, so I have a feeling. It looks like you found enough memory fragments for me to make a prediction about the world in order to improve Ecocene. Predict!
So who's reading it? Not me. It's too fast.
I dream of plastic, bones, representation, shortage of raw materials, etc., etc. Okay, here's my understanding based on your descriptions. The outside world looks like a mix of strange but fascinating materials, bright and sharp, but poisonous. As some call it sad, it has an otherworldly quality, almost too exaggerated or dramatic. Bony components give it depth and create awareness towards life's preciousness. Every objected be unique, with both anxious moments filled with magical shames, yet also captivated by intricate thought processes, creating representatives driven, often deepened, when melancholic. Since everything won, while all childhood was so-called itchy painfully, but endangered, admired for being a remnant.
That sounds right.
So right.
That sounds right. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Where is the lemon?
The lemon is somewhere. You're gonna find it.
It should be there actually.
It's somewhere in the city.
Is it in the?
It's in the shelf. Is it in
It's
the shelf?
in the home.
I thought it was in the interior ecosystem.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, for the real gamers in the audience, find the lemon. That's the key to all of this.
Okay.
Yeah, the objects in the game are randomized every time you load it, so we may not actually, the lemon may not be visible right now.
We also, I mean, this is the kind of first complete prototype that we've made of all the parts of the game, and we're kind of thinking about ways that once you've made a prediction, you can then fine tune it and then see what the relationship between the player and the machine elf is, and like think about how there is this back and forth, or like you can develop a way of communicating and speaking and guiding this entity's understanding of our worlds. So I think that concludes us today.